everybody that's online. I'm just going to go through our roll call again. I just need to do that after lunch because I don't want to get told off by Maya and Sandra. So, Your Worship, the Mayor. Deputy Mayor Cashmore.
Yes, try and do three things at once, but here, yes.
Thank you. Councillor Bartley. Councillor Casey.
Kia ora, Alfie.
Kia ora. Councillor Collins. Councillor Coombe.
Kia ora, Mr Chair.
Kia ora. Councillor Cooper. Councillor
Yes, I'm
Dalton.
here.
Oh, thank you. Councillor Dalton.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Darby. Councillor Fletcher.
Yes, I'm here, but I will confess that I'm watching the COVID update at the same time.
Thank you, and you can update us on the chat if you wish.
Thank you, I'll do so.
Councillor Henderson. Councillor Hills. Member Kake. Councillor Mulholland.
Present, Chair.
Thank you. Member Honeck. Councillor Sayers.
Yeah, present out, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Simpson.
I'm here, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Stewart.
I'm here, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Walker. Councillor Watson.
Present, Mr Chair.
Thank you. And I know Councillor Young is there.
Present, Mr Chair.
And Councillor Newman.
Good afternoon, Mr Chair.
Thank you. Look, we've got enough of the quorum, so we'll start, and we just look forward to the updates that we have. Thank you, Councillor Henderson, for the sidebar. Also, Your Worship, the Mayor. And we'll go to item 15, IAME Auckland Implementation Evaluation Annual Update. And I'll get somebody to move in second. If you could go onto the sidebar and let me know who wants to move in second, that'll be great. And then I'll open it up for discussion. So we've got Liz Civil, Joanna Maskell, Brianna. Also, we've got Gail Surgeon, the Director, Community and Social Innovation for the Southern Initiative. Raquel Turner, Manager, Youth Employment Team. So welcome everybody, and I'll hand it over to you, Liz.
Hopefully you can see me. Kia ora koutou. Good afternoon, everyone. And Councillor Alf, as you have already introduced everybody, I was going to do that, so I won't do that. I will hand over almost momentarily to Joanna Maskell. I just wanted to say one comment, and that is that this report represents the collective action of a whole range of people across the council family, or a whole range of teams, and it shows the kind of breadth and depth of activity that we're doing to support outcomes for children and young people across Auckland. So I'll hand over to Joanna Maskell and my team, who'll take you through the brief presentation. Joanna, over to you.
Kia ora koutou, Mr Chair, councillors and members. This is the first annual report of IAME Auckland against the monitoring and evaluation framework approved in December 2018. The purpose of the report is to update you in regard to two areas: the progress of implementation and evaluation against the framework, and also the early impact of COVID-19 on young people and delivery of council programs to mitigate those impacts in the region. There's more detailed information regarding both of those areas in the attachments to the covering report. So we have attachment A, which is the COVID-19 impacts on young people and council programming, attachment B, which is a specific report in regard to rangatahi Māori, and attachment C, which is the IAME Auckland evaluation and monitoring updates. So I am going to provide a brief overview of all of those parts of the report today, and we've got a 9-slide presentation which will take you through also. So if we could go to the second slide, thank you. So just a reminder that IAME Auckland has got 7 goals and related action areas to provide direction to council and council-controlled organisations about support for Auckland's children and young people. If we could go to the next slide. So thank you. That slide is setting out how we are tracking against program delivery against the 7 goals. You can see that we made really good progress in 2019. There were over 150 initiatives delivered. Since 2017, in particular, delivery against Goal 3, Health and Wellbeing, has increased from 7 initiatives to over 30. And Goal 2, Belonging, has doubled from 13 to 32 initiatives. If we could turn to the next slide. One of the really positive outcomes noted in the report is that delivery against Goal 7, Whakapuawai Rangatahi Tū Rangatira, All Young People Will Thrive, has improved. This was a key area noted for improvement in the 2017 status update. There are 28 initiatives identified, which is showing a substantial increase from the 5 initiatives in 2017. The current level of activity against Goal 7 is more in line with 4 of the other 6 goals. And you'll see that there's more information in attachment B around rangatahi initiatives being delivered against this goal and several really great case studies of the successful initiatives there. If we could go to the next slide. So in terms of evaluation of initiatives, this is becoming more of the norm, with monitoring and evaluation requirements generally forming part of contracting arrangements. Since 2018, 16 council evaluations of activities that contribute to the IAME Auckland goals have been initiated. Evaluations are increasing capability across council to assess the impact of our activities and services for children and young people. And in addition, indicators of progress towards the IAME Auckland goals have been established. Those measures captured are drawn from the Auckland Plan, the Quality of Life data, and the Child and Youth Wellbeing Strategy. So there's more information in regard to those indicators in attachment C, as well as the monitoring and evaluation. If we could move to the next slide. So this slide is regarding the COVID-19 impacts on young people across the region. And we found that the early information has shown there's been a significant impact on young people. Unemployment for young people has increased at twice the rate of older cohorts, and this is largely because young people are working in retail, hospitality, construction sectors that have been hard hit by the economic downturn. They often are without permanent contracts or are quite early on in their careers. There was some really good snapshot surveys taken during the level 4 and 3 lockdowns earlier in the year in regard to well-being and mental health, and they showed that young people were having higher rates of loneliness, isolation, anger, stress and sadness than the general population. In regard to homelessness, which we've heard about this morning. According to LifeWise, in their snapshot in July 2020, of the 514 homeless people housed in motels during the lockdown in Auckland, 11% were aged from 0 to 19 years, and 23%, or 123 people, were aged between 20 and 29 years. Our research regarding impact on rangatahi Māori found that, again, there was a significant number of rangatahi working in industries impacted by COVID-19, such as accommodation, tourism, hospitality, and the retail sectors, and that also there was limited safe and secure emergency housing available for rangatahi Māori to access. We also found that only 50% of iwi whānau had internet-enabled mobile phones in the household, which rangatahi were attempting to use for their remote learning during the first lockdown period, and that in turn impacted on their ability to access education. And finally, that whānau and tamariki in low-income households faced food security challenges before and during lockdown, particularly when there was that period of panic buying when the level 4 lockdown first hit. So if we can turn to the next slide, this is regarding how council whānau were able to adapt their programming during lockdown. So the good news is that the council whānau were able to pivot and respond really well to the needs of young Aucklanders. Teams provided more services online and developed new ways of engaging with children, young people in their whānau. And there are some great examples highlighted in attachment A of the report from Active Recreation, the Youth Empowerment Team, Regional Facilities Auckland, the Southern Initiative, ATEED, and the Auckland Emergency Management Team. One of the case studies highlighted in our report is the Adelaide Boys Club in Otara Papatoetoe, who were able to continue engaging weekly with rangatahi online, ensuring that their welfare needs were met, providing a safe place to discuss issues such as learning from home and what a new normal would be like for themselves and their whānau. And hopefully you can see the top picture of the slide is a snap of one of their online meetings during the first lockdown. Moving forward, turning to the 2021 budget and programming, council staff are still planning to deliver programs for children and young people in keeping with the IAME Auckland strategy. The emergency budget funding reductions for community and arts facilities and in regional programs will impact on some youth delivery, particularly through council's community and arts centres. In response, council staff are reprioritising and focusing programming for young people and for those most in need. They're using the learnings from lockdown to develop new and innovative ways to deliver and leverage across programs to create new opportunities. And an example of this in the report is the adaptation of the Standout Stand Up program. While this program will be on a smaller scale, staff are leveraging the opportunity for young musicians to have additional opportunities to perform at music in parks in the summer. There's also been really good news that the retention of the local board LDI funding will enable local youth programs to continue. The council also has successful programs in place for youth employment, engagement, participation, and to prevent youth homelessness, which will mitigate the impacts of COVID-19 that I've just described. The Southern Initiative and ATEED secured new government funding through the Pacific Skills Shift to mitigate the impact of the economic crisis on Pacifica families in Western South Auckland, and by extension, for young Pacifica people. And so if we can turn to the final slide, the recommendations that we are making today are that there is approval of the 2020 IAME Auckland Implementation and Evaluation Update as set out in Attachment C, that staff will develop a series of communications to highlight the council responses to COVID-19 impacts using channels such as Our Auckland, Staff will monitor and report regularly on COVID-19 impacts and council responses for children and young people, and that staff, as delegated, will report back a 3-year IAME Auckland status report in 2021. I'm happy to take any questions arising.
Thank you so much, Joanna. So look, I'll open it up for questions. I haven't seen any in the sidebar as yet, so I'll just give that a few seconds. Okay, I've got Councillor Dalton and then Councillor Bartley.
Thank you, Chair. So this is a strategy, an Auckland Council strategy, and lots of initiatives feed into the strategy, including the Southern Initiative, work that's going on with CEU and other departments. Is it a strategy that is well connected, or connected at all with our CCOs? And I acknowledge the relationship between ATEED and the Southern Initiative. So is it connected with our CCOs, and can we measure delivery from them? And my second part to that is, do we also, and this might be easier after we adopt the Outcomes for Māori Today framework, but does it have a measure against the IMSB Māori plan and the IMSB values reports?
Kia ora, thank you, Councillor Dalton. In terms of the CCOs, absolutely, this is a strategy that applies to them, and we work closely with them. And in some of the attachments to the report, you will see updates that have been provided by RFA and ATEED particularly. I mean, they tend to do quite a lot of work in the youth space. ATEED does a lot of work in the youth skills and employment area, and RFA in terms of programming, presenting youth programs, and the RFA associated entities. So they work with the museum, with MOTAT, with Maritime, and with the art gallery and other facilities, and the zoo. And they're all running programs for children and young people that do connect back to the goals and objectives of IAME Auckland. So I think we've got some pretty good coverage with our CCOs. Also, Auckland Transport and Panuku are doing stuff as well. So Auckland Transport, there's some in one of the attachments, the progress implementation attachment. There's mention around some of the initiatives that Auckland Transport does, that, you know, the free travel for children in the weekends, some of the programs they do around biking and walking buses, a whole range of things in that kind of transport and safety area. So I think there is pretty good coverage. Obviously, there's more always that we can be doing. And we have a community of practice that gets together around every 2 months, that we bring council staff and teams and CCO staff together to share practice. So hopefully that answers your question on that front. In terms of the Māori outcomes you're referring to, and the IMSB plan and the Māori plan, look, we the whole Goal 7 is very much focused on improving wellbeing for rangatahi Māori, and we are making those sorts of connections. Whether that's been explicit through IAME Auckland, probably not, but there's still a lot of shared outcomes between those plans. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Liz, for that. I mean, the CCO answer was very thorough, thank you. And perhaps after the Outcomes for Māori framework is adopted, if it is adopted, there's just some more ways to measure some outcomes and engage in delivery for our rangatahi.
Sure, and we'll certainly, when we come back with a 3-year status report, we will be looking at a lot of indicators around Māori tamariki and Māori rangatahi's health and well-being, and the indices that we have set out in the report around the kind of various measures. So we're also tying quite closely with the measures and indicators that the government's child and wellbeing framework has, and they'll be collecting data that will be of use to us as well. So I think there is ways we can connect in there, absolutely.
Great, thank you, Liz.
Councillor Casey.
Who's that? Oh, hang on.
Can hear you now.
I'm coming. It's probably, I was going to make a comment, but I would rather have it as a question to Liz. And it's probably prompted by Miriam Deans's unfortunate remark yesterday that she wasn't quite sure what the panels had done. Liz, you're a long time. Remind the councillors that IAME Auckland was the first strategy that was developed by the Youth Advisory Panel for young people.
Joanna or Liz?
My apologies, councillors. My mute was off. My microphone was off. So yes, absolutely. The Youth Advisory Panel were fundamental to the development of IAME Auckland strategy when it was first developed. And it is our absolute intent to work closely with the panel now that they are about to be reinstated. They have their first inaugural meeting on the 31st of August, and we will absolutely be connecting with them, particularly as we go forward and work on the 3-year status update. We'd like to work closely with them in partnership to do that. It's been unfortunate that we weren't able to involve them in this particular progress update because we were between panels while they were recruiting. We were developing this report. But I understand that Amy Irvine, who's one of the panel members, is online today listening in, and we will absolutely be reporting this work that we've just done to the panel at one of their first meetings, and then connecting going forward in the forward work program for IAME Auckland.
Thank you so much, Liz.
Councillor Collins.
Oh, thank you, Chair. Thanks for the report. I enjoyed reading it. As I read it, I wanted to see or just get a bit of further understanding or a bit more understanding on how youth voice was being sought. And I follow a few of your youth advisors on Facebook, so I've seen quite a bit of activity going on in the local board space. I see quite a bit happening in FO, for that matter. I thought I should throw that in, Councillor Mulholland. So I know that there's been a lot of uptake from youth councils in relation to local board plans, but I'm really interested in the notion of youth voice and how you'll have an ongoing connection to young people to feed into the plans, the strategies, the monitoring of various parts of the IAME Auckland strategy, alongside what you will get from the youth panel.
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, look, I might refer this one over to Rachel Turner, who works closely with the youth voice groups. So we certainly will be working with the Youth Advisory Panel and with our Youth Empowerment team. But Rachel, would you like to comment specifically around the work you're doing to engage young people and get young people's voices working with local boards and the like?
Good day, Chairperson, and thank you so much for this great question, because it is something we're constantly seeking from young people to understand what is important to them. So my team is the Youth Empowerment team. It's a little team, but I have 3 specialist advisors who share the 21 local boards between them. And of those 21 local boards, the majority have a formal youth voice or youth council associated with them, and then the others have youth voice groups that are not formal youth council groups. So my team have a really good idea of what's happening out there in the community, and did an incredibly good job at understanding how young people were responding to COVID. And they're natives, of course, they're technical natives, so they went straight online and they supported their young people through this challenging time. So in answer to your question, my team understand that. The young people have done a terrific job at submissions on the local board plan regionally. The challenge we're hearing from them is it's not the easiest of areas to navigate, and often we'll get the same kind of voices, and we really want to challenge ourselves and challenge our youth councils to seek the information from people that we might not be hearing from all of the time. So my team and the youth councils as well kind of see themselves as navigators or supporters to translate this council language so that young people can understand what it is they're actually trying to have a say on. And so that's kind of what we'll be doing going forward, is translate and navigate for our young people so they can, in fact, hear their voice, have their voice heard. There's two additional issues with that. One is that we're hearing that some of our groups are over-consulted and they're tired. And then we have young people who are saying through the Ministry's youth plan that's just been, the Ministry of Youth Development's youth plan that's just been released, as well as the Youth 19 survey, where young people are saying one of the things they need most is for us to hear them. So we have two dichotomies, really. We have one saying, you're talking to us too much, and we have some people saying, you're not listening to us. So part of our work is really understanding what they need to see and hear to feel reassured that we are, in fact, listening to them. So those are things that my team and the youth councils are working alongside. We've got a strong youth, the Youth Voice Regional Network is now established, and they're doing a great job at supporting the youth councils as we go along as well. I hope that's answered your question.
Yeah, thank you for that. And Chair, I've got a comment later, if that's okay.
Yep, all good. Yes, go ahead, Councillor Collins.
Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. Hey, I thank you very much for that answer, and I just wanted to offer my appreciation and an acknowledgement, Chair, that I know that the three youth empowerment strategists, I'm not sure of their official titles, amongst the local board areas is a real squeeze, and I know it would be really demanding on their time. So from what I'm following on both on Facebook and what I know is happening out here in the Manukau region, I'm really grateful for. I just think it's important to know that there are just three people and they're trying their best to work with each of the groups. So I'm guessing that the level of activity and connection we're going to see will differ throughout local board areas, but I just wanted to encourage an ongoing activity for them, because it's such an important part of our work. And having worked with the youth advisory group last term, they were definitely of the opinion that it was good to stay in touch with council officers, in particular the youth advisors, because it meant that everyone was kind of feeding in. So I really value the work that they do. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Collins. So, Liz, any further comments? It's been moved by Councillor Bartley and seconded by Councillor Young, our two young councillors on. So, are there any further comments?
Look, no further comments from us, Chair.
Okay, I've got no more questions on the chat. So, look, I'm going to put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Yep, thank you. Against? Carried. Liz, again, thank you to you and your team. Thank you so much, Liz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.